Folks back home, welcome to DADDARIO. We've been around the factory and I've seen plenty of stuff I didn't really expect, so that was beyond expectation. Thank you for that.
Sure.
And we talked about the string side, of course, and we talked about the accessory side as well. Since the current main product is NYXL,
yes,
I think we start in that area as well, and it would be cool if you could point out the extra steps that have to be taken to get from a regular string to NYXL in regard to production.
Okay, sure. Well, the main things with NYXL, it's really goes down to the core material, the actual wire and the manufacturing of that wire. So we've been able to, through a combination of both machinery improvements, engineering and advancements, and just understanding the manufacturing process better by moving all this wire making here to New York, we've really been able to optimize using traditional high carbon steel material, just like you would have on a normal plain steel string or on a core. We've been able to optimize the ability of that string to perform at its maximum potential. So in doing that, we've increased the overall strength of the plain steel and core wire through a combination of several different processes, somewhere between 25 to 40%. Additionally, we've improved the wrap wire material that the traditional XL nickel wound string is made out of nickel plated steel wrap wire. The nickel plated steel that's used for XLs or for NYXLs is significantly improved over a traditional XL string, primarily in the areas of a boost in frequencies that are pleasing to the ear. So somewhere between 1 to 3.5 K or 2 to 5 K in those general regions that you would boost as an engineer to kind of get the guitar to pop out in the mix a little bit more. We see pronounced increases in those frequencies from that wrap wire specifically. So basically it's a completely newly re-engineered string from the ground up through the materials, and then it's still made and wound on the string machines here in our New York facility.
Glücklicherweise liegt die Facility direkt auf der anderen Straßenseite. Brian hat mich mit rübergenommen, sodass wir uns genau anschauen konnten, wie aus dem dicken Draht auf einer großen Rolle ein dünner Draht wird, den man verwenden kann für Gitarrensaiten selbst oder für die Ummantelung. Von der dicken Rolle wird der Draht in die Maschine eingezogen und dort kalt verformt, sprich gestreckt. Über den Widerstand, den diversen Umlenkrollen bieten, wird das Material so gestreckt, dass es zum Schluss so dünn ist, wie man es im Vorfeld eingestellt hat. Temperatur braucht man dafür keine, würde auch nicht helfen, weil man möchte, dass die Molekularstruktur im Material erhalten bleibt. Herstellen können wir alles von 13er bis den dünnen Ummantelungen von den Saiten. Und angetrieben wird das Ganze von einem 175 PS starken Elektromotor, der das entsprechend ziehen kann. Überwachen tut sich die Maschine selbst und bei Abweichungen wird entsprechend eine Fehlermeldung rausgegeben. Hier mal ein ganz dünner Draht und ich hoffe, ihr könnt ihn auf dem Bild auch finden. Kommt der Draht aus der großen Maschine heraus, hat er eine negative Eigenschaft, die wir ihn mit dieser Maschine hier austreiben. Er würde sich gerne um sich selbst wickeln. Kenne ich von meinen Gitarrenkabeln zu Hause, scheint es nicht anders zu geben. Mit der Maschine selbst können wir aber die Spannung rausnehmen, die entstanden ist beim Ziehen des Drahts. Und zum Schluss hängt er dann so entspannt und relaxed vor dem Meister, wie wir eben gerade gesehen haben.
Okay, so we've got better ingredients.
Yes.
For cooking. Do we have better cooks as well?
Yes, absolutely. On the string winding side, we've been doing what we've been doing a long time, and we've got a lot invested in the machinery and the engineers behind that. But the engineering of the wire and the people we have working in that part of the business. I mean, we challenged ourselves a few years ago to take a step back and look at what we could do as a company to make a better electric guitar string. There was other things in the market being done that people were willing to pay money for, whether it's a coated string or whatnot, and we have those strings too, but we really wanted to challenge ourselves to do something where the player doesn't necessarily have to sacrifice or change what they do. We wanted it to feel very natural and comfortable for them so they could transition from a current product that they're used to using to a new product, but have a better experience, a better playing experience. So, we challenged our engineers. We hired some new engineers, and our current engineers worked very hard as well to learn new things, particularly in the wire making facility.
Letzter Blick auf den großen Raum, in dem es mehr als eine Produktionsstraße gibt, die jeweils aus den zwei Komponenten besteht: Material ziehen und Material entspannen. Der Draht landet danach auf den großen Rollen und sofern er beschichtet werden muss, geht es im Nachbarraum weiter, wo die entsprechende Klimatisierung, Absaugen und ähnliches vorhanden ist, weil, Luca zeigt, es ist ein wenig gefährlich, es wird mit sehr heißen Materialien gearbeitet und immer dann, wenn Metall geschmolzen wird, mag ich auch nicht unbedingt direkt in dem dazugehörigen Dämpfen stehen. Sie sind in der Lage, neben dem Material, was als Beschichtung auf der Seite landet, von dem verbleibenden Rest 98% zu recyceln und erneut zu verwenden. Hier den Vorgang nochmal von hinten nach vorne. Besteht logischerweise aus Waschen vorher, Material aufbringen, waschen nachher und dann wieder zurück auf die Rollen. Viel Spaß bei der weiteren Wicklung.
Part of that comes from the ability of making the wire yourself, which separates you from other companies that have to buy at a later point in the process of building a string. They buy the starting ingredients, which helps you to alter that to start closer to the end product. It's like we were talking about earlier in regard to nylon strings. If the raw material is either toothbrush or a cleaning rod for the garden, you're not very close to a guitar string. Yes. If you would go and build a nylon string, you would start from a scratch material that is already as close as possible to the final end product. Therefore, not change its quality while processing it as much as going from really big to very small or stuff like that.
Yes, because the needs of the musician are very specific. And the requirements of a material, whether it's nylon or steel, the requirements of that material in relationship to the instrument are very specific. And there's a narrow field of what's acceptable in terms of the pitch they have to hit, the tension they have to achieve, so that the player experience is comfortable and functional. So you've got a very narrow window to work within, and we've just been refining and defining and redefining that window in small and now massive, but over small incremental changes over the years.
Yeah. And one of the impressive parts of that it was to see that, and I'm going to put pictures in the video at that point, that you're building most of your machines yourself. There's no little machines that are commercial off the shelf. Basically everything is built in-house, and you see a room, and I'll show you pictures there where it could be you could repair your car there as well, and rebuild parts of your car.
Correct.
Because there's all tools necessary available.
Things wear out and whatnot. Yes, I mean the manufacturing process is a big part of the company's history and tradition, going back to the 70s when Jim DADDARIO initially, when he would buy machines and modify them, and he got so good at it and finally realized that he was making so many modifications that he could just build them himself, and he started doing that, and now every machine now, that really is one of the distinguishing characteristics that sets the company apart. It's not something that the consumer or the player is going to realize when they play the string, but the end result of a consistently manufactured, with the understanding that we've got the science and the engineering and the player experience put into the product, the output of that being the manufacturing being consistent time after time after time and being very precise. Yeah. The machines that we make today are the most sophisticated in the world and using the most advanced technologies, so we're pretty up to date on what's out there.
And as you said earlier, it gives you control of what you do.
Absolutely. That's a big part of it too. Just owning your own destiny and not being at the whim of a supplier or another company or another person relative to our manufacturing.
Gestatten Jim DADDARIO. Mastermind hinter der Werkstatt, die in der Lage ist, alle Gerätschaften, die man zur Herstellung von Saiten braucht, mehr oder weniger in Eigenregie herzustellen. Wir haben gehört, dass Jim angefangen hat mit vorhandenen Maschinen und der Veränderung. Mittlerweile wird ein Großteil selbst gebaut. Natürlich greift man dafür noch in Standardmotoren, die macht man nicht selbst, aber die Ideen und die Entwicklung passiert im Haus.
When I walked through the history preparing the trip, because actually the only thing I could do was go back in time because I haven't been here yet, I found plenty of that family business. Everybody's taking one part in the overall business, and I find that reproduced here in real life now in a size that is well beyond family business.
The key in that is that I think that what Jim originally did when he wanted to do it himself was to learn it from the inside out and then teach other people how to do that, and then us own that once we know how to do it. And you take that just model and you replicate it through all the parts of the company, whether it's machinery, engineering, marketing, printing, manufacturing and distribution, all those different elements of the business. And that's sort of that philosophy and the way that the business was started, that thread has gone through up to today with all the various people and new people that we have in the company. So.
Na, dann schauen wir doch gleich mal rein in die Company. Die Werkshallen sind richtig groß. Organisiert in Zellen mit verschiedenen Farben, und alle Zellen sind in der Lage, unterschiedliche Arbeitsaufträge entgegenzunehmen, je nachdem, welches Teilprodukt für die Weiterentwicklung gerade gebraucht wird. An den Übergabepunkten gibt es entsprechende Ständer, die zeigen, wo man weitermachen muss. Das heißt, Sie können sich fast selbst organisieren. Vorher ist allerdings eine Eingangskontrolle vorgeschaltet. Und an diesem Gerät wird geprüft, ob das Material der Zugbelastung standhält und ob es zum richtigen Zeitpunkt reißt, sprich die entsprechende Kraft dafür verwendet wurde. Hier ein paar Eindrücke aus der Halle nochmal. Und viele Maschinen werden zweigleisig bedient. Das heißt, die Dame ist in der Lage, die linke Maschine zu bedienen, während die rechte eine Aufgabe macht, dreht sich um und bedient dann die rechte Maschine. Hier sehen wir nochmal ganz schnell, und das ist ein Betriebsgeheimnis letztendlich, wie der Draht über die Seele gewickelt wird, und direkt danach haben wir eine umwickelte Seite. Da habe ich ganz schön große Augen gemacht in Summe, aber Brian hat sich wirklich viel Zeit genommen. Jetzt nochmal ein bisschen entspannen oder sich für einen Job als Seitenaufwickler bei DADDARIO bewerben. So, und hier hätten wir nochmal die größte Maschine im Haus. Oben links kann man erkennen, Acoustic Bass Cell, das heißt, ist für den Kontrabass die längste Saite, die von DADDARIO produziert wird. Und dieser große Granitblock gehört zur Teststation. Einige von euch haben vielleicht schon das Video gesehen vom Stresstest der New York XL-Seiten. Wenn nicht, würde ich das empfehlen, das nachzuholen. Wir unterhalten uns jetzt noch ein bisschen über NYXL.
I think that Kaler guitar that we have in one of the videos is pretty exemplary of extremes, because
it's a pretty torturous test.
Yeah, I mean, when you get
a video.
Yeah, and when you get into a Floyd Rose, you know, you're cutting the ball end off on both ends, so you're just working with the wire. But when you have a traditional string with a ball end on it, there's a lot of inherent potential for things to go wrong, or to at the ball end. That's a kind of a critical part of the string and the twist, that whole area. So I think putting that string on a vibrato system that can do what that Kaler does and pulls it up 2 whole steps really puts the string to a basically at its breaking point, and clearly from the video beyond that.
Yeah.
So that would be a pretty extreme. I mean, but some people just bend and play really hard. I mean, there's other things about bending the string up and striking it down with that reverse force going against each other that puts that string to a test as well. But I think the main thing is just day-to-day use of a regular guitar tuned up to pitch, playing normally, just the ability of the string to hold its pitch better. Just staying in tune as you play, so you don't have to constantly retweak your tuning as much. Major benefits. So there's a lot of subtle things that the string does, as well as extreme things that it does, that just overall make the playing experience better.
Okay. In regard to tension and different scale lengths?
Performs the same as any traditional XL guitar string would. So most of the time when you compensate for scale lengths, most of the time that's just done by people trying different gauges. With longer scale lengths, you're going to have different gauges than with shorter scale lengths. usually. It depends on the player preference, but we also have a full line of guitar singles. So if we don't make a specific gauge that somebody likes, the New York XL line has the widest variety of single strings of any product line we have. So we did that intentionally. So the future of the business, people who want to do anything they want to try with this string, whether it's extreme down tuning, to now we're expanding it into acoustic guitar strings and loop ends for other kinds of instruments. It's definitely going to be a future for the company, and we want to make sure that all the options are out there for anybody.